What is this? Completely missed that, so much smoke. What's up, Miami? Nice to be here. The lights are very intense, so I don't see you at all. But my name is Kerry Murphy. I'm based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I am half American and half Finnish. And I'm here to talk to you about digital-only fashion. Somewhat connected to what the guys were just talking about before me, but I'm going to take it a little bit further. I'm going to really talk about the physical fashion industry, how it relates to this conference, to this setup, and then I'll take it into digital-only fashion world. So bear with me. Let's see, how do I get, okay. So we are The Fabricant, a digital-only fashion house. We say that we're always digital and never physical. And the reason for that is, damn, there's so much smoke, I can't see shit, sorry. The reason for that is because we believe that there's enough physical fashion brands in the world, and especially now, with our lives becoming more and more digital, I believe, or we believe, that we require digital-only brands. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'll go into that why. We also say we waste nothing but data and exploit nothing but our imagination. Because data is the pollution of the future. We generate so much data the whole time, crazy server centers all over the world. And the exploit nothing but our imagination is a wordplay on the exploitative features of the fashion industry. The environmental exploitation, the cultural exploitation, the socio-political exploitation. The fashion industry is extremely toxic for many, many reasons. And there's a lot of data around it saying that the fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world after the oil industry. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying some stuff that I read online. So yeah, my name's Kerry Murphy, very Irish name. I'm actually from Finland, born and raised in Finland to a Finnish mom and American dad. Based in Amsterdam, as I said. I previously worked in film and visual effects, and then in 2016 I rolled into fashion because it was the last design industry to go through digital transformation. Can you imagine that? Like every single design industry has gone through digital transformation, and I saw it for myself with the film and visual effects industry. So it's very easy to predict what will happen in the physical fashion industry and how this will become digital. The Fabricant is established officially in 2018, and we're about 50 plus people all over the world at the moment. And a few milestones that we've done, we did a digital-only collection in 2018 that we presented in multiple different places in the world at the same time, something that the physical fashion industry can't do. In 2019, we sold the world's first digital-only dress on the blockchain for 54 ETH. It was around $9,500 at that point. Now it's more like $60,000. Imagine this, a digital-only garment that you can't wear on your physical body for $60,000. 2020, we go into the pandemic. All the factories close. We can't go work physically anymore. The fashion industry cannot generate any more physical samples to be able to sell their collection in their lookbooks in their B2B processes. So what do they need to do? They need to go 3D. They need to digitize these collections so they're able to sell them, because the fashion industry typically works about 2 years in advance. So in 2020, they were selling their SS22 collection. So we worked together very closely with Virgil Abloh from Off-White to completely digitize his full line of clothes so he could be able to sell it in their B2B sales process. Last year, we made the world's first digital-only dress for a Vogue magazine cover, which sold for, I think, around 100 ETH. I mean, it was multiple different editions, so it was not just one. And 100 ETH last year, it was more like $400,000. So that was the world's first, let's say, NFT digital-only cover for Vogue magazine. And earlier this year, very, very early this year, we raised our Series A funding round, which was $14 million. Which really allows us to build the foundational layer, the foundational technological layer for digital-only fashion to scale from the technological side, and also allow us to start creating these experiences to make it a consumer experience. So we don't use the words NFT, crypto, or metaverse. I mean, it's all part of it. We know those buzzwords are died out. Now it's really focused on being a digital consumer product that makes people's lives better. So, I will ask you right now, because I'm sure not many of you, some of you probably have worn digital clothing before. If you take out your phones, you scan the QR code, and if you have Instagram on your phone, it will send you to Instagram. One of the filters, it will allow you to wear digital-only clothing. So please, if you want, it might be very expressive. It's very feminine look. So especially you guys who don't see yourselves as being super fashionable, this is your opportunity to become extremely fashionable in your virtual lives. So if you create that content, you put it on your stories, tag the Fabricant, and then I just might send you some digital merchandise, some digital swag. Cool. Give you a few more seconds. But what I'm here to talk about today is my, it's a little bit of a clickbait title, Fashion 2025, the year physical fashion becomes obsolete. And I'm not talking about that physical fashion, that physical clothing will disappear. Absolutely not. But what will disappear is the business model of the current fashion industry. Because it's not scalable. Everything's about scale, everything is about digital. So the physical fashion business model, which is this, in a very overly simplified manner, you need to produce 1 million items to be able to sell 1 million items. And typically, fashion really relies on data to be able to generate and produce just enough, but not too much. So you're not left with overstock, so you're not left with dead stock, because that's expensive. What are you going to do with all of that clothing that you left over that you didn't sell? Well, a lot of fashion brands are caught burning them, throwing them into landfill, because you can't keep it. You can't put it in your factories. You're just paying money for garments that never sold. So a lot of that stuff just ends up being wasted. Now, if you think about digital, you create one item, and you can infinitely scale that. You can create those digital items and use them in a very big manner. And I'll talk about how the physical fashion industry can really profit from it. Now let's see if I can see. Are there any fashion industry people working here? Anyone working in fashion? Okay, one at the back, 2, 3. Okay, this stuff's for you guys. This guy doesn't like it. So. Digital product creation, DPC, a simple way to replace samples, physical samples, just by 3D renders. So for those who don't understand maybe the fashion industry, a lot of it is based on samples. So you send the first sketch to the factory creates the sample, sends it over here, and that's goes back and forth for about 8 weeks. And there's a lot of traveling involved just for that one sample. But a lot of that can be replaced with digital items, 3D items, just to make very quick decisions to say, oh, these are the details I like, this is what I will produce. So if you think about those samples, then you can use those in your B2B sales. So your B2B sales is, just showing hey, this is how the collection looks like, this is what you will be buying. Retailers come in and say okay, I want this and this and that. Very informative still. And those same samples, you can then take into your marketing efforts. That it starts becoming more interactive, creative, more fun, something cool. And then you can take it even further. Sorry, there's a looping music on that. So this is what we did with Puma, thank you. This is what we did with Puma, where we took those initial samples and we just produced them so they could just sample them, put them into their B2B sales, put them into their marketing efforts to be able to sell this collection without ever producing anything. Really focusing on so-called production on demand. So once you sell these items at first, then you can start producing. I'm not saying that this project was super successful in doing that, but that was the vision. And it is big brands like Puma, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, all go in that direction. And then another one step further from this is to not think about the physical at all. So I'm going to show you a video. It's from a Swedish brand, H&M. I'm sure you have H&M over here as well. We developed a digital-only collection for H&M. So yeah. So what can you do with digital-only clothing? Well, in this case, these items that were sold, you can Photoshop them on your images to be able to use in your social media. That's as far as that went. But if you think about digital, of all the different possibilities, it's much, much wider. So let me just show you a few use cases that we're really focused on. Because digital fashion is not here something that you can put on your body. It's not something that will keep you warm. But what is it about? It's really about self-expression and identity. Because fashion is about identity. And that's really the main reason why we make our purchasing decisions for clothing. So some of the tools that we're looking at right now, augmented reality. And this is, again, really focused on people who have very strong social presence, who really love to create and tell their stories on social media. And the lady on the right, she's a supermodel for Balenciaga, very famous one, starting to wear digital clothing. So it's about physical expression through your physical body, through your physical clothing, with an overlay of digital expression. So it's this merging of these two worlds coming together, which we see a lot over here. Magic Leap, Quest Pro, it's all about that, the blending of the two realities. And then, of course, a big one, the gaming industry. It's massive. So this was for a game that's actually from Miami called Star Atlas. We produced these digital fashion items that then we sold in the game. For 24 hours, it generated $1.2 million in revenue in 24 hours. And we never produced a single physical item. And we were able to scale those items, 5,000 pieces, done in 2 weeks, just a very simple implementation. Another project, this was for a so-called PFP project from the NFT world, which was like there were these things called World of Women, and we created these items, digital fashion items that you get to dress your profile picture with if you have these PFPs, essentially. So. And lastly, a digital-only fashion show. This is what we see the full fashion industry going towards to, making digital-only collections that you can present in your virtual life through this virtual media. And this is done in Unreal Engine, which is a gaming engine. It can be directly put into different games. And the fidelity of these gaming engines is becoming so good that it's really starting to represent high fashion. So it's not about just t-shirts or caps, sneakers. No, it's about the details, and we use the same details as the fashion industry. Materials, stitches, the construction, the fitting, the styling. We use the exact same language, the same craftsmanship, only different tools and different ways of expressing it. And to take it even further, our digital-only fashion brand that's never physical, really only focused on our digital lives, we call it the Whole Collection, is a collection of multiple different high fashion items that you would not be able to produce physically, because that's the opportunity with digital, is not to be producing it. And you can be more creative with that. You can start really implementing stuff into it that the physical fashion industry can't. So we have these items which essentially will be sold initially as AR filters. And then once you buy that AR filter, you will get the items that you can use in games. So if you come to me and you say, like, Kerry, I love playing this game, call it Fortnite. Well, I'm like, hey, here's the digital fashion item that you bought that I will be able to give to you in Fortnite once Fortnite opens up their ecosystem. So I'll show you a little bit of a teaser video, because we just launched this. this will be released in February, and we're only giving away 3,000 items. So here's a little bit of a narrative to go with it. Please work. Thank you. Okay, it's very cryptic, very mysterious, but it's all about of what's to come, how we're gonna basically activate this collection. So here's a little bit of a giveaway. I'm not giving away any physical items, I'm giving away digital merchandise. So if you email me with this subject line, whole whitelist, I'll add you to a whitelist so you can buy digital clothing in February. You know, it will, maybe it's your first, maybe it's not, but it will be a way for you to express yourself virtually through your social channels. And we're going to be basically distributing as wide as possible. So again, what's the true value proposition of digital over physical? It's scale. It's production at scale, and it's distribution at scale without ever having to create a single physical item. So yeah, feel free to follow me on Twitter or any other virtual platform. Happy to get your feedback. Happy to speak to you after this. So thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate your time and your attention. And thanks so much. Okay, I'm not going to hit this thing this time.